What's up, everybody? Today's YouTube neighborhood tour of Baltimore neighborhoods is of Fells Point in southeast Baltimore. This is one of the most historic and most popular for out-of-towners to go to. It's waterfront, and it's got a lot of really cool things about it. So let's get started. We're heading out of Canton towards Fells Point right now, and you'll just see on the right-hand side we just passed the Captain James restaurant. It's a restaurant that looks, it's all done up in the shape of a big boat, which that kind of pays homage to the area's maritime history and all the shipping related things that have gone on throughout this area's history. Going back to like the 1800s, this area was known for as a privateer hangout, where privateers, essentially pirates, but they were kind of like government sanctioned pirates to go stir up trouble on behalf of the government with other countries that the government didn't want to directly stir up trouble with. So a lot of those guys were kind of on the fringes of society, but that was this area was a well-known hangout for people like that. So anyways, we're headed down into Fells Point. It's one of the most vibrant areas of the city. It's, like I said, big for tourism, but also there's a thriving community and a lot of people live there. And we're getting down into the main part of it. Shortly, we're going to take a left and go towards the waterfront. So now we're making that left. We're headed towards the waterfront. Shortly, we'll be in the more commercial district. We're still in a primarily residential block, but a block or two further, and we'll be at the waterfront with all the restaurants and bars and crab houses and hotels and things like that. As you can see, we're starting to get into that now. This area was, a lot of people thought it was gonna really struggle during COVID, and you know, like everywhere, it had its problems, but they adapted pretty well and really embraced the outdoor seating and the more pedestrian-friendly sort of European vibe. So, and they seemed like they did really well. So now we're at the cobblestone streets, which this area is well known for, and they're very quaint and old-timey and a pain in the butt on your car. But now we're at the waterfront. This is the main strip on Thames Street, where a lot of people hang out, go to restaurants. On the opposite side of the street, you can't see right now, but we'll be back past it. There's a strip of restaurants and bars and things like that. Right now we're passing the Pendry Hotel. This was a long abandoned pier, and Under Armour founder Kevin Plank, he and a team of developers decided to revamp it into, now it's a luxury hotel. It's very fancy, very expensive, but a very nice place. Recently it was in the news because someone had their $100,000 car stolen from there, which is unfortunate. And not only was it stolen, but then it was wrecked. But in general, this is a super nice area. Across the water from here, you can see the Domino's Sugar Factory. That's one of the most iconic buildings in Baltimore. And then now we're getting up on the main square in Fells Point, and actually down to the left is Fells Point itself, the end of the pier or whatever. Lots of restaurants and bars, and Admiral's Cup is one of them that we're passing now, and just lots of cool places to go out, get drinks, have a bite to eat, go shopping, all kinds of good stuff. This area is really a neat mix of the old and the new kind of coming together. It's because it's so historic. There's been a major effort to kind of save all the old architecture and save all the old history and that sort of thing, with things like the cobblestone streets and the old buildings and things like that. But then, as you can see, there's also a lot of new stuff being built because it is such a popular area. Now we're continuing on. Shortly, we're going to be coming up on kind of the edge of Fells Point and where it starts to turn into Harbor Point. Harbor Point's a new development that is on the site of a former chromium plant, and that's all new. Whereas with Fells Point, you kind of have the new and the old. With Harbor Point coming up, that's basically ground up development, all kinds of buildings, lots of offices, things like that. Here you can see another good look of the Domino's Sugar Factory off in the distance, and the very iconic neon sign on the top of it. So just a few more random facts about Fells Point. Like I said, it's got the maritime history. It's had a number of famous residents, including Edgar Allan Poe. Right now, on our left-hand side, you can see Harbor Point. This is what I was talking about, the new development, basically from the ground up. This was more or less open fields 20, 25 years ago. And before that, before it was all torn down, it was factories and things like that. That area was actually, because it was all factories, it was a big project to get it suitable to build on again because of all the toxins and all the pollution and things like that. It was a brownfield site, and there was a ton of remediation that went on to just even get the site ready to build on. And sometimes I question if it's good to be living on top of a former chromium plant, but hey, I guess in a city like Baltimore, everywhere probably had something highly toxic 50 or 100 years ago, so what are you going to do? Other things, Fells Point is a popular filming location for TV shows and movies and things like that because of its sort of quaint vibe and old-timey feel. It's got a ton of festivals and community events and things like that. Now we're turning back onto Alisana Street, which is this is an east-west street that runs through Fells Point. They do a lot of like ghost tours and kind of old historic-y social events because of its old history and kind of, I wouldn't really say creepy feel, but it's because it's old, it's got that old-timey vibe and people like that. So now we're coming back on Alisana Street towards the main blocks of Fells Point and Broadway Market. And the particular day that I was driving by here was a summer weekend, so there was a lot of people out and I'm not exactly sure what was going on, but there seemed like there was a pretty good crowd out. To the left is Broadway Market, which is, as one might expect, on Broadway, which is what we're on right now. And they have lots of small restaurants and vendors and things like that. Continuing on Broadway down we're headed back towards the water, and we're going to make a left back onto Thames Street, which is the street that we were previously on that was we were looking out over the water. So now we're getting back on the cobblestone, and we're going to make a left, and we're going to retrace our steps back towards where we originally came from. Fells Point is definitely one of the more diverse neighborhoods because it attracts people from all over. So it's neat to see a bunch of different cultural influences and things like that. Now we're back onto Thames Street. As you can see, the hotel that we talked about earlier on the right-hand side, and then the square on the left side. And very bumpy cobblestone. You can see by my camera how bumpy it is. GoPros do a remarkable job of stabilizing. But now we're headed back through, and this is that strip of bars, sort of iconic bars that are on the waterfront. Lots of good places. I'd highly recommend checking it out if you have some time free. And like I said, during COVID, it's always been sort of pedestrian friendly, but it seems like there's been a concerted effort to make it a lot more pedestrian friendly. So, which is great, unless you're trying to drive through it. But in terms of going out and checking out the places, it makes it a very nice place and easy to get around and things like that on foot. Now we're headed down, I forget exactly what street this is, but we're headed down, this is sort of to the west of Fells Point. We're still Fells Point, but it's western side of it, eastern side, my bad. And yeah, we're gonna loop around and come on out of Fells, and then that'll be the end of this video. It really only covered probably 5 square blocks, but I I wanted to do a sort of focused video on this area just because it is so popular and there is a lot going on. It's like I said, super vibrant area, lots of construction, lots of new building. That building off to the right is new, but then like I said, you also have the old historic buildings like the one off to the left, which is kind of a neat mix of different types of architecture and different, like I said, different people of all ages. It's very, from an age standpoint, a very diverse area. It's not super young, not super old. There's a big mix. There's lots of young people, but there's also lots of older people who have lived there for decades. So definitely a neat place. To the left right now, there's a nice little park, playground, dog park, that type thing. And like I said, about to be headed back out onto, I think, Alisana Street. And then the tour will be over. We'll be headed towards Harbor Point and towards downtown from when we make this next left. So that's all I got. Feel free to throw out suggestions on other neighborhoods you want to see, the neighborhoods you want to hear about. Just kind of doing these things stream of consciousness, so don't expect too much out of my narration, and you'll be happy. Anyways, headed downtown, so I'll catch you guys on the next one.